Welcome back to another Sunday prep day. If you're new here, every Sunday I prep for the week. So that means cutting up my vegetables and making things that take a little bit longer. So today I'm going to make some coleslaw, I'm going to make some carnitas, I'm going to make a salsa, and I'm also going to roast some peppers. So we'll start with that first. So before I started filming, I did preheat my Ninja Foodi on grill, the highest it will go. And I'll give it 10 minutes now. It probably needs about 20 minutes, but after 10, I'll flip everything around to make sure that it's blackened the skin on either side. So let's just get to chopping and we'll get into the meal plan. So for lunch today, as usual, I'm gonna have some sandwiches. I have some chicken breast. I have a few slices of cheese left over as well, so I might use those. And if you are new here, I'm diabetic. I had to cut some carbs, so for that, I just cut them from my lunch mostly. I just have carbs for my lunch on the weekends as my cheat days, and then I do have carbs for dinners, but lunches tend to be low carb, keto friendly, and breakfast, I don't really do breakfast. So, but yeah, that leaves us to dinner tonight. I have some sauerkraut left over. I'm gonna saute that with a bunch of veggies and some bacon, and I'm gonna have that with some potato wedges, and what else am I gonna have that with? Some sausage. So let's see, next up, let's do another onion. So that first onion was for my carnitas, and I just need more onions for a couple more things. So I have one yellow one, and I have a couple of shallots and little tiny onions. So we were at Monday for lunch. I'm gonna do some eggs, like an omelet frittata kind of thing. So just eggs with plenty of vegetables. That's one of the things I need onions for. And then for dinner, I'm going to do some falafel wraps. And I just bought some falafel. Sometimes I make it myself. This is usually not worth it for just one person. But the falafel wraps is also why I'm roasting the peppers, because I'm going to have that with some lettuce and some roasted peppers. And like a garlic sauce. So let's just cut these small onions. Then we're on Tuesday. For lunch, I'm gonna do some coleslaw. I originally planned to do that with chicken, but I'll have some sausage left over, so I'll do some sausage. And then for dinner, I'm gonna have some carnitas. So that will be that pork I'm going to be making in a moment with some salsa. And that salsa I'll just use for several meals this week, as well as the carnitas, because if you make a big batch, that's worth it. If I'm just making one portion, just not worth my time. So then we're on Wednesday. On Wednesday, I'm gonna have some coleslaw with some carnitas. And again, coleslaw, I'm gonna make a bigger batch. And I'll have that with several meals. And then for Wednesday for dinner, I'm gonna have a rice bowl with some carnitas. So I'll have some lime cilantro rice. And I'll use the carnitas again, and I'll use the salsa again. That's the thing with meal prepping. I don't prep the whole meals, I prep components, but I use the same components for several meals, like even the vegetables, but also like the salsas, carnitas, things like that. So there's that. Then we were on Thursday for lunch. I should have one more portion of carnitas left. So I'm going to have those with in some lettuce wraps. Have some little gem. And then for dinner, I'm going to do some orzo with veggies and some chorizo. Or you could also use salami. Okay. And then we're on Friday. For Friday, for lunch, I'm gonna have the last of my coleslaw with just some grilled salmon. And then for dinner, I'm gonna do some Brussels sprouts with plenty of veg and just some grilled fish because I do fish Fridays. So I have 2 of these red onions. I'm gonna dice them up. One is gonna go in my salsa and the other is going in my coleslaw. So normally I cut off the top and the bottom, cut it in half, but for this I cut off the top, cut it in half, leave on the stem, and then I can cut all the way down to the stem and then cut across to cut it nice and fine. And that just leaves you with the tip, but you want to have everything together as you chop it. So that is 1 red onion for my coleslaw, and the other one I'm just going to cut the exact same way, and I'll use that for my salsa. Next up, some garlic. The quickest way to do it, just pinch it, rock it back and forth, and then the skin will come right off. So again, top, bottom, pinch it, twist it. You can hear the paper come loose, and just like that. Cloves of garlic peeled. And then a couple of these I'll leave whole. Those are for my carnitas. So those can go with those onions that I'll use for my carnitas. And the rest I'll just give a quick dice. And they will go in my eggs, in my sauerkraut, my Brussels sprouts probably, and my salsa. That is my Ninja Foodi. So let me just quickly give those a turn. Yeah, as you can see, they're starting to blacken. So I'll just flip them around and give them another 10 minutes. And then before I forget, I'm going to put about 1 clove of garlic worth in my salsa, and the rest I'll just put in a container, and I'll just do a few more cloves. Next up, I have some chilies, just a couple. So since I'm going to use them in my salsa, I'll actually cut these in half lengthwise. I'm not going to take the seeds out, and I'll just slice them up. So these are for my salsa. I'll do a red and a green, and those can go in with my salsa ingredients. And then I have a couple more, some red, some green. I'm not going to bother peeling them or de-seeding them. I'm just going to slice them up, and I'll use those for my Brussels sprouts, my sauerkraut. I'll put some in my carnitas as well to add a bit of spice. But yeah, I have 4 cayenne in total for that, and I have a jalapeno. Though the jalapeno I will de-seed just because there's a lot more seed in there. And then I'll just give them a slice. Next up, I have some peppers. I have these pointy peppers. I like these because they're a bit smaller, so I can just have a bunch of different colors, mostly. They're also a little bit easier to cut. You can use regular, like the square peppers. But if you can find these, this is what I prefer. And this is going to go in my sauerkraut, in my Brussels sprouts, in my eggs, and my salsa. So today I'm just going to dice everything, so I cut it lengthwise and then across for a fine dice. And I'll just do the same thing for the other colors as well. And then before I forget, I'm going to take a little bit of every color and put that in my salsa. And my salsa is kind of like a pico de gallo, but I'm not the biggest fan of raw tomato, so I'm going to make mine with peppers instead. Then next up, to go with my sauerkraut tonight, I'm going to cut some potato wedges. So I have 2 potatoes, skin on. Just cut them in wedges. There's that. Then for my lime cilantro rice and my salsa, I'm going to cut some cilantro. I'm going to cut off the stem. I'll save the stem for things like curry paste. And the cilantro, I'm just going to bunch it up a bit. And I find it easiest to just give it a rough chop first while you hold everything together. And then I'll just run my knife through over and over until it's the consistency that I like. So like I said, about half goes in with my salsa, and the other half is for some lime cilantro rice. And then one more thing I need for my salsa is some cucumber. So I'll just cut around the core, because this gets a bit mushy, so I'll have this as a snack. And I just took my peppers out. You can see the skin is blackened, so I'm just going to let this cool down, and I'll be able to just peel that skin right off. It should come off really easily. Now it's blackened, and I'll get back to my cucumbers, cut them into long strips. And then cut across to dice them. I like these little Persian cucumbers. You can use regular cucumbers, English cucumbers, or those American cucumbers, the fat ones. We don't have them here, but I just prefer these Persian ones because they're smaller and they're full of flavor. So, and then for my sandwiches, I'm just gonna slice up one cucumber as well. Then next up, some coleslaw. So I need some cabbage. So I'll cut that in half and in half again to quarter them. And as you can see that little stem here, I'll cut that off. And this is just the remnants of a head of cabbage that I started on earlier, a couple of weeks ago. So I just left it intact like that, just took the outer leaves off so it will keep longer in the fridge. But yeah, now I have about half a head's worth left over, and I'll use all of that for my coleslaw. So I'm just going to shred it nice and fine, just shave it as thin as I can comfortably. And I'll just put that in with the rest of my coleslaw ingredients. So in this case, that's the diced red onion, and I'll add my carrot in a bit as well. Then next up, I have a whole bunch of Brussels sprouts. Those are for my meal on Friday, and I will just saute them with lots of veggies and some bacon. So I'll just, these are not cleaned, so I'm going to cut the bottom off, take the loose outer leaves off, and I will cut it in half. If you have big ones, cut them in quarters. If you have really small ones, you can probably just leave them intact. But yeah, I'll just quickly work through this whole bowl. Alright, that is Brussels sprouts done. And then last for chopping, I have a carrot. We call this winterpeen or winter carrot in Dutch. These are massive. If you're using regular carrots, just use like 3 or 4. I'm going to julienne this. I'm going to use my julienne slicer because it's the quickest and most even way to do it. Much more consistent. I can do it by hand. And I'm just going to julienne enough for my coleslaw, and also I'll have some to go in my sauerkraut and my Brussels sprouts. And I think that is enough. I'll save this for another day. So that's all chopping done. I'm at 32 minutes. So now I'm just going to put some things away. I'll preheat my Ninja Foodi, and I'll start making like the carnitas, the coleslaw, the salsa, etc. So I preheated my Ninja Foodi on saute, and it's nice and hot. So I'm going to take some stewing pork, and I'll just put that in. And I'm not planning on cooking this through, I just want a little bit of color on there. So I'll also add a little bit of salt, that will help with the browning as well. And while I'm holding this salt, I'll put some in my salsa as well, and some in my coleslaw. Some pepper in my coleslaw as well, some cumin in my salsa. And then I'll get a lime, cut it in half, and I'll juice that into my salsa. So just to recap, I have garlic, red onion, peppers, chilies, cilantro, cucumber, cumin, salt, pepper, lime juice. And the quickest way to do this, I'm just going to shake it up. And that is my salsa ready to go. And then for my coleslaw, that is red onion, cabbage. I used red cabbage. You can use regular cabbage as well. Some carrot, salt, pepper. I'm going to add some mustard. I like it quite mustardy, but do it to your taste. And some mayo. Start with about that much mayo and just give it a mix. If it's not coming together well, add a bit more mayo. And just adjust as needed. You don't want to add too much mayo, just because with all this salt, it will be getting more liquid from the salt drawing moisture out. So you don't want to overdo it with the liquid. And that is the coleslaw done. Give it a little taste. It's perfect. So that is ready to go. And also, my pork has a little bit of color on it. So now I'm going to add a little bit of chili, and I'll add my onion and a couple of cloves of garlic. And I will just give those vegetables a couple of minutes to soften. And while I wait for my vegetables to soften, I'm also going to clean my peppers. So take the top off, open it up, take the seeds out. And then because I've blackened them, the skin will come off really easy, just like that. And just like that, my roasted peppers are ready for my falafel wrap. And in the meantime, my vegetables have softened, so I'm going to add a little bit of cumin. I'll add some stock cubes. If you have a carton of chicken stock, you can use that as well. I just prefer these stock cubes. Add some water, and I'll juice in 1 lime. And I just put in enough water to mostly submerge the meat. So, put on my pressure cook lid, because I'm going to use my pressure cooker. You don't have to, you can slow cook this, but this is quicker. The pork is big-ish chunks, not too bad. So 30 minutes should do it. So while that does the thing, I'm going to clean up a bit more, and I'll be back when that's done. And that is the pork done. I just shredded that, and now it's ready to go. I just need to crisp that up a bit in a pan when I want to use that, and I'll use that for several meals. But yeah, that's all the prep work for this week. If you like this kind of content, I do this every single Sunday. And if you'd like to see what I ultimately eat, what I do with all the components that I prepped, you can check out my Instagram, where I post every single meal. My Instagram is linked below. By the way, Instagram is also where you'll find a written piece of all the ingredients that I use, my meal plan, and everything. You can also check out the video I post about once a month on here, where I show you everything I eat in a day for a whole week, and I'll film one again soon. I just need to figure out a week where things are actually interesting to show you. A whole week where I'm just eating coleslaw and stuff is not that interesting. Yeah, if that all sounds good to you, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Until next time, bye for now.